Well, now, look where you found yourself. This is Hammer Away, and I'm Viking Stew. Let's get hammered.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? This is Jaron Galino with Lynch Mob, and I'm hanging with Viking Stew on the Hammer Away show.
Oh no. My name's wrong on there.
Oh, it is. Hey, hey, I screwed up. How did I do that? You know what? Should we do it? I don't know. I should just do it live and change it.
I changed my name this morning, people.
Yeah, I don't know why I think that either. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday morning. Okay, there's my excuse. Hang on.
It's because I was watching Spinal Tap last night.
You know what the beauty of it is? It's Monday, folks. You're back with Hammer Away. And I'm here today with Rob Hussey of Cyanide. And you know what the beauty of it is? I'm a graphic designer. I do that shit, and I can fix it while we're talking. So at the end, it's going to be right.
So he's a wizard as well.
I'm a mistake wizard is what I am. I can fuck that up on a Monday morning, no problem.
Yep.
Sorry about that, my friend. I'm like,
great. I'm kind of glad.
See, the background is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows?
It was a crazy party fueled weekend.
I'm just, you know what? Yes.
I blame it on Motley Crüe.
Always. There you go. Yeah. For the love of rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So I was just telling Rob a short bit ago, because wonderfully he was here early this morning. That was great. And I haven't done a lightning round in a bit. And this one's going to be very easy because Rob not only fronts Cyanide, but also you do a Motley Crüe tribute as well, right?
Yes.
So I have Motley Crüe questions, and I was snickering to myself as I was writing these very quickly because I thought of them earlier, and I'm like, I got to write these down.
Nice.
So, but I just love the last one. So hang on, folks, it's coming. What do you think? Peak of Motley Crüe's career. If you have two answers for that,
I do.
You may go for it.
Well, for me, the peak is, all throughout the Shout at the Devil tour when they were just barnstorming America and taking things over. But then also the day that Dr. Feelgood hit number one, in 1989, that was a pretty big day. So
yeah,
I know most Motley Crüe fans had been waiting for that number one debut since Girls had made it to number two. Sold more records than Whitney Houston, but still didn't get the nod that week for whatever reason. So that was a big day.
Yeah. Nice call. I like that. That's good. Because everybody with their favorite bands, they're like, everything's gets to be twofold. You're like, well, personally, I think it's here, but technically to everybody else's eye, it was probably here.
Yeah.
But that Dr. Feelgood album, killer.
I could throw one other peak performance moment in there. The night I saw the Karabi tour at the Palladium in Hollywood.
Wow.
I swear Bob Rock himself must have been there mixing sound because I still have never heard a concert sound that good.
Amazing.
Since. And plus, playing Hooligan's Holiday and Uncle Jack and all those cool songs. That was a big night for me too.
Right. Yeah. We had a moment earlier where we were talking about John Karabi and that we've both had the chance to meet up with John, and he's a dynamite guy. And however, you totally trumped me on those because you did what?
So it actually happened several times, but the first time was in '98 at Pinky's here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I was at a Union concert, and John brought me up on stage to sing "Surrender" by Cheap Trick. I was a drummer at the time, and I was just down there screaming my head off. So probably to shut me up, he brought me up there. I don't know. And I had never sang in front of people before. I just wanted to.
Seriously, really? I mean, yeah. So you hadn't? I mean, we just talked about this, but I don't think I honed in on that moment.
Yeah, I had never, maybe I'd done karaoke a couple times here and
Okay.
there before then, but
Yeah, and who hasn't? There's
right.
people that shouldn't have never done it, but they did.
Yeah. So I get up there, Janie Lane's on drums, and I sing Surrender, and then the song ends, and Bruce Kulick looks at me and says, "You're hired." And then Janie Lane comes up to me and tells me, "I thought I did a pretty mean Robin Zander, but I'll be damned if you didn't just top it." And I said, "Well, I didn't know you played drums, man. That was amazing, you know." And so I just kind of had this moment with Janie Lane there. And then there was another time where I was at a Karabi solo show, and he brought me up to sing another Cheap Trick song. And then there was one other time he had Bobby Blotzer playing drums.
Wow.
And oh gosh, Robbie Crane was there.
Really?
I want to say Carrie Kelly was on guitar, but I could be wrong about this.
Wow.
But anyway, he let me come up and sing Way Cool Jr.,
cool.
which I just, I was doing backflips in my head,
That's a
and
great song.
Those were all moments where I said to myself, I have got to try this lead singer thing out. I had been wanting to my whole life, and it's really because of those 3 moments with Karabi that I finally took the plunge.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now, I do this a lot on the show, and I digress. I do that. I do that a lot. But
digress.
I
digress all the time.
It's like, it should be on my business card. Digression. Just put that on there. Why am I forgetting the name of that record?
It's just Motley Crue.
No, Way Cool Jr.
Oh, Reach for the Sky.
Yeah, Reach. Yeah, and then subsequently they had. I can't think of the next one. Detonator. Which one did you like better?
For me, those first 5 Rat albums, they're all sacred to me.
I think they're great.
If I had to choose between Reach and Detonator, I'd probably go with Reach because it's closer to the core sound of the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
But I love Detonator almost equally. So.
Yeah, me too. I thought Detonator was a great culmination of everything they were doing. It had maybe a little bit more of a commercial edge to it, but they'd always grown to that point. Yes. So I thought it was just another great follow-up to Reach. So
yeah, I was never disappointed with Rat, any of those albums when they came out.
Me either.
I loved how they never really strayed, tried something weird. It was always it was in a way a little bit like AC/DC, where as soon as the album started, you're like, yep, that's Rat.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I won't stay on that, but next thing I will ask you is your favorite Motley Crue album.
Depending on what day it is, I'm always inclined to say Shout at the Devil because that was the album that captured my imagination and the rest of America.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and that was a fun time. I really loved how they grew and changed with each album. Mm-hmm. There was a time in my life where I would have said Dr. Feelgood's my favorite. Mm-hmm. There's also been times where the Karabi album's my favorite.
Right.
And musically, that's probably still true. The drums on that album never stopped fascinating me. I saw John's son, Ian Karabi, play that whole album live.
Oh, wow.
We actually opened for Karabi's band when they played the Crue album in its entirety.
Wow.
And I had studied that album on drums when I was, in my early 20s, and I was fascinated with it. And I was also equally fascinated to see Ian Karabi nail those drum parts, studio quality, all the way through the whole album. And I was just like, me and that guy should be friends, man.
Right. Well, there's still time. There's still time. Yeah.
Ian, if you're out there,
give me a call. And then what's your favorite Motley Crue tune?
Smoke the Sky.
Really? Over everything else?
That earth-shaking riff in the center, man, I love that song. It's about marijuana. There's just a whole lot to love about that song. To this day, so it's funny, when I saw that tour at the Palladium in Hollywood, I actually got to meet Nikki Sixx afterwards. And, young, stupid me, I could have said just about anything to him, but my first words were, you know, Smoke the Sky should have really been the first single, man. I really think the album would have done better if that would have, you know, like I'm just this kid coming up to Nikki Sixx, and I start telling him what the single should have been. And I think probably a lot of kids like me were doing crazy stuff like that. So
yeah, but you know, I'm sure, you know, but I mean, I could still imagine that somewhere that probably struck a cool chord, because probably not many of the kids he was talking to at that time were going to be talking about that record.
Right.
You know, I get to meet Nikki Sixx, and some of them probably didn't even know about John Corabi.
That's probably true as well, because
you know, and they're just stuck on the early.
Just refuse to give that album a chance. So
yeah,
but I gave it a chance from the beginning, and I spent weeks dissecting it, trying to decide, do I hate it, do I love it? And I finally decided after about 6 weeks that I officially loved it.
Yeah.
And then I just wore it out like any Crue album before it, you know. So.
I remember telling John that I thought he joined Motley Crue at just the right time.
Yeah.
You know, that they were so groove oriented, and for him to come in and be so groove oriented really is what made that Motley Crue album something special.
It
think
was special, I thought.
Yeah. It's really bombastic.
I would also always throw, you know, gosh, I love Slice of Your Pie. I'm a deep cuts guy. So while I love Dr. Feelgood and Livewire and Looks That Kill, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say 10 Seconds to Love over, you know, Shout at the Devil or something like that. So
yeah, I like Bastard a lot.
Bastard is a great one. We just played that one live.
What, really?
That show, yeah.
That's
Danger too. And
really?
Yeah, Motley had never played Danger, so we wanted to try that one, and it went over really well.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah, that's great, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Loved singing Danger.
And I think it's like I always say, playing live, when we play live, we play some songs that maybe we play covers, and maybe there's some things that people don't really know. But I'm like, as long as you get up there, I've had people tell me in my bands before where they're like, I don't want to learn something people don't know.
Right.
And you're like, look, if you get up there and you sell it and play it well, they'll like it. It's not like I'm picking songs that are completely off the mark. You know, these are party tunes that people deserve to hear. And
you know, I always like to say too, you know, if it's an album that sold like 4 or 5 million copies in the 80s, back when everybody played the whole album, like Dr. Feelgood, for instance, you could probably play any of those songs and people would know them because they wore that album out back then.
You're right.
So, you know, we're lucky that we lived through that time where people played the entire album.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good call, man. Good thinking. Because that's a great way to think about it, you know. And when you're pulling, it's just like I'm not going to play Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams unless somebody throws $50 in the cup, you know. Then I'll think about it. But everybody plays that, and he had 5 hits off that record. So why would you just play that one
over and over and over? We live in that time now where the majority of the people outnumber us deep cuts guys that just want to hear songs that they know. So you have to do that. Yeah. And I'm happy to do that. I'm thankful that those songs were such big hits that people still care about them, you know.
Correct.
But I'm also thankful that you can get away with, you know, playing songs like Danger and stuff like that. We played Starry Eyes, we played Come On and Dance. And
really, Come On and Dance. Wow.
Yeah, the crowd went nuts like they were big hits, you know, because it's such a big album.
That's great. Yeah. It was kind of wild. You know, it sounds like obviously a lot of people were like us, where you get into the Shout at the Devil, and then you're like, oh, well, there's the other album too. Right. And you go back to that, and it's again, it's that thing where it's so raw that you're like, okay, I can dig that. Yeah. It's like, you know, Kill 'Em All by Metallica. Oh, yeah. You listen to Master of Puppets, if that's your entry to Metallica, and then you go back to that one and you're like, wow, this is raw. And and then it really grabs you and you're like, okay, I get it. I get Early Scorpion, same thing. I could talk about anybody like that.
You know, I still remember I must have been, I don't know, 10 or 11, and I would listen to this show called Metal Shop on Comp 92.3
Sure.
Friday nights.
Yeah.
And they played In Your Direction by Rat and followed by Ride the Lightning by Metallica. And I hadn't heard either band yet. And I just sat there next to my radio going, what on earth? And the very next morning, I got up, jumped on my bike, rode to Warehouse Records and bought both of those, Out of the Cellar and Ride the Lightning. That was my introduction to both of those bands. And then I'm like, oh, they have another album? And I went and got those, you know, the Rat EP and the...
Did you get the Rat EP?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
You know, it was probably a couple weeks before somebody said, you know, they have another album, right?
You're like, what?
It wasn't there at the record store when I was there, but it was when I went back. And so, I bought both of those.
Years ago, that was a really weird way to start this whole thing with about 4 different openings.
Right.
I do that. I digress and I stutter kickstart questions. But I remember years ago on Halloween, they had a big thing on MTV when MTV was what it was supposed to be. Right. And they played these different concerts from all these different bands. They played Rat and they played all that stuff, a bunch of the stuff off the EP, which at the moment I had Out of the Cellar. And I was like, oh, these are cool songs too. I don't know what these are. And then they had Iron Maiden and with Paul Di'Anno, and they had Black Sabbath
with Ian Gillan.
You know what I'm talking about.
Again, yes. Oh, I remember those concerts. That was Isn't that like the only pro shot footage of the Born Again tour that exists or something?
That's highly possible. I've been looking for that too, and I've been trying to find out if that was it, because I converted it to DVD from my VHS.
Didn't they only show like 4 songs of each band?
Yes.
So I wonder, somewhere out there, the whole concert must exist. So we need to find out who that is and give him some money.
Yeah, we fund that DVD.
And whoever's holding on to the pro shot Shout at the Devil footage from when they opened for Ozzy in Salt Lake, because if the Bark at the Moon show was filmed, then the Shout show must have been filmed also.
Right.
So whoever has that, I beg and plead with you, let us pay you so we can see this.
Yeah, we want it. We want it. It might be out there in some, convention somewhere.
I haven't found it anywhere. Nobody I know has seen it either. We've got the US Festival, we've got Quebec, and thank God we have the Quebec, because I missed that concert, and so if it wasn't for that that video, I still wouldn't have seen it. So
wow. How many times have you seen Motley Crüe?
My first show was Theater of Pain.
Okay.
They skipped us on Girls. I saw Feel Good. I saw the Karabi show. I saw the Feel Good tour twice.
Me too.
Yeah, I saw the Karabi show, and then a bunch of times since, the Greatest Hits tour, the tour with Randy Castillo, New Tattoo,
wow,
Saints of Los Angeles, and
very cool
tour, the Aerosmith tour, all those ones. I've seen all those ones.
They took Scorpions on tour with them.
Yeah, that was the one with Castillo.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow, because we were backstage at Scorpions because Scorpions opened, which at the time I thought was sacrilege, but weird, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite song to play live by Motley Crüe?
Ooh. 10 Seconds to Love is always a barn burner.
And there you go. It's really about the people.
Yes.
So when you get that back, then yes, I understand that. Yeah. He's like, well, that's your favorite song to play live? Well, yeah, because it gets the reaction, and that's a dream right there.
And I'll tell you, we played like a 20-song set in June at Counts Vamped right before they closed down for good. And it was sold out, and a good 2/3 of the show was just Too Fast for Love and Shout at the Devil deep cuts. And so, we hit Bastard, we hit Red Hot, 10 Seconds to Love, Danger, all this cool stuff on with the show, Starry Eyes, Come On and Dance. All those songs are just equally fun to play because they don't get played a lot. And so when the real Crüe fans in the audience, when one of those songs starts, they just go batshit crazy, and it's really fun to see.
Yeah. I need to see one of your shows. That's for sure.
All right.
Because I really dig it. I had a chance to see the Feel Good show twice. We saw it on Thanksgiving with Warrant opening up, and my wife was pregnant. There's a big joke about that. Yeah, I'll tell you that later. But then I saw them at Alpine Valley. I was just noticing I had a Chicago a magazine. It was called Cam at the time. Is it Cam? And Ricky Rackman's on the cover, and on the inside they have an Alpine Valley listing, and they have the Motley Crüe show that I saw. It had Johnny Crash, Bonham, Tesla, Joe Satriani, and Motley Crüe.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A little Motley festival.
Right. And it was great. I mean, that tour was amazing. To see it twice was
yeah. I saw it twice also. The first time with just Faster Pussycat, the second time Lita Ford and Faster Pussycat.
Oh, Lita Ford.
And I still remember one thing, aside from what a great show it was, as you're walking through the crowd and they're playing music through the PA, this song came on that I had never heard before. And it just stopped me in my tracks. I was like, really? Whatever song this is, it's going to be a massive hit. And it was Cherry Pie by Warrant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like the instant that I heard it, I knew that it was going to be an explosive hit. And then I found out it was Warrant. And then, of course, it did become an explosive hit. So maybe I should have been an A&R guy. I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, man, it's like some days it's just sad to think that we don't. First of all, it's sad to think we don't have him anymore with us. But secondly, it's just sad to think how he hated that song because of its commercialism. But I'm just like, dude, come on.
I feel like if he was with us today, he probably would have come to appreciate having written such a big hit and maybe made peace with it, in much the same way, I've heard Def Leppard recently saying how they're happy to play Pour Some Sugar on Me. They're honored that so many people would show up and still want to hear that song. Right. So, I went through my own phase where I didn't want to play any hits as cover songs. And, I was throwing out deep cuts, but the crowd gets a bit smaller if you continuously do that. And so, I finally realized, it was time to embrace the times that we're in, which is that the majority of music fans out there want to hear stuff they know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think about that a lot as your practice, as we practice and we get ready for a show and you're like, okay, am I going to get sick of this song? And I'm like, but that's not what it's about. It's about the reaction from the crowd. So stop worrying about that and keep thinking about how cool it's going to be when they react. Yeah. Because you're just kicking ass. So
you could throw one or two oddballs out there and not clear the room out. But, if the whole night is just,
Yeah. Because I kind of went, you go through that. We've been there. Yeah. We've been to concerts and you're like, really? That's okay. You're going to play that? Okay.
Also, I've noticed, I went to see Shania Twain a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
She had a new record out. And she's probably sold more records than just about anyone, I'm guessing.
I would assume.
Whenever she would play a new song, there was just massive amounts of people running for the bathroom, running for the t-shirt stand. They could care less about the new music from this gigantic artist. Yeah. And, that's probably the one thing that makes me the most sad. Yeah. I wish people would still give the new albums a chance and allow these bands to play more than one or two new songs on a given tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear, when I go to see a band on the tour for that album, I'd like to hear like maybe 5 songs off that record.
Wow. That's interesting.
You just can't get away with it. It clears the room out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Iron Maiden does it, because they do what they want. And
they do what they want. You're absolutely right.
And for some reason, people allow that and stay for those songs.
Right.
And I love that they do that because that's what I'm there for. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I understand what you're saying clearly. Now, the last question, so that we can get into Cyanide, is if you had a set of Motley Crüe dishes, which one would you be using the most? Wouldn't that be cool if we could just get our favorite band on a set of dishes?
I'm going to go with Generation Swine just because I'm an oddball.
Cool.
I'll use my Generation Swine breakfast dish for ham and bacon.
And if you had a set of 4 with all the different members on each one, which one would you use?
Well, 6 is my guy because as
Okay.
a songwriter, that guy has just always been, somebody I admired.
Mm-hmm.
Just have always loved the way he wrote lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
his songwriting style. You can hear his influence all over my own songs, and I don't even try to hide it because,
Right.
I remember growing up, he would always talk about how much he loved Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear the Aerosmith in his songwriting. And so I'm just kind of paying it forward.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said you started out as a drummer.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking about all those different people. Like then you said Janie Lane, Jeff Martin is another one. And I started thinking, and Steven Tyler, all of these frontmen are drummers as well.
Quite possibly Steven Tyler, the greatest frontman vocalist of all time. Maybe, I don't know. But it's definitely there in the conversation. And he started out as a drummer.
Yeah, I mean, he always talks about how, he played a lot of drums, and so it kind of helped him because he kind of knew how to write and do his lyrics rhythmically to where, that's part of Steven. What he does is
it helps.
Yeah. He's got that. Sometimes it's very staccato kind of vocal thing that he does because he's kind of jiving with the drums.
Yes.
And having
I do
that.
the same thing, and very pleased or grateful that I had that background as a drummer because it allows me to sing in time. Almost always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God knows we've seen some people not do that well, and you're like, oof. Seriously?
You feel for them when they're struggling like that, because
that's something else that I'd almost think about talking about, but we'll save that because I really want to get into Cyanide.
Yes.
So tell me all about Cyanide. Tell me about the guys in the band, then we'll get into the album.
So right now, I started recording the album 21 Gun Salute.
Mm-hmm.
I started writing the album many years ago, and when the original lineup of Cyanide was still together, and sometime around 2020, a little before that, the band had broken up, and I didn't even really know if I was going to continue or not, but I kept writing songs, and then there was a period of about a year where I just didn't do anything because I had no direction or motivation. And, COVID was happening and everything just sucked. And so, but then sometime during that, I pulled myself together and I started writing again. And I had never written by myself before. Even the first Cyanide record, me and Mark, we wrote that album together. I might have brought in songs that were all mine, but, he put his guitar stamp on it. So anyway, at some point I decided, instead of putting together a band and making this record, I'm going to make this record and then put together a band for the sake of time,
Right.
And so I did that, and I finally started recording the record in August of 2022.
Okay.
And then about 2 months after that, I found out that I was going to go through a divorce. And so that kind of helped slow things down as well. Yep. So all in all, I probably recorded that album from August of 22 until April of 24 is when I was finished recording and we were mixing. And then the producer I was working with at the time, he left the project. And again, I was kind of left with pieces to pick up. What am I going to do from here? And at that point, I was introduced to Ty Sims, the producer, and he agreed to work with me, which is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
How long of a span was that between things taking a break there because the other producer left and you getting together with Ty?
it was about a month of not having any idea what I was going to do with myself, you know.
Which can seem like forever, right? It's just
certainly can't mix this record, you know.
right. Right.
And so my friend Mike Floros from the band Steel City, he introduced me to Ty.
Nice.
Thought we would work well together, and Ty agreed to work with me.
Very cool.
One of the first things Ty said to me is, "What do you want your record to sound like?" And I said, "Well, the whole time I've been writing, my thought was that this album is like a marriage of the Dr. Feelgood album, the Karabi album with Motley Crüe, and the Black album. I like that kind of production. I like that drum sound especially. You know, that's the kind of sounds I'm going for." And he said, "Consider it done."
Ah, that's great.
And I said, "What? You
Oh.
can have that?" So anyway, that was like our first conversation. But then once we started unraveling the sessions from what I had been working on previously, we found a lot of stuff that needed to be corrected. In fact, had to scrap all of the drum tracks and start over with the drums. And then from there, I did have, you know, massive problems with the drums, mostly technology caused. And, you know, ended up at some point having to just get a whole new system and start over again with the drums. And so we finally finished mixing the album in April of this year.
Okay.
And
now, did you record the drums, or did you have a drummer?
Yes, I recorded the drums. I record this room that I'm in here is my studio.
Okay.
And it's decorated like this so that when I come in here, I feel like I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
I can get in that frame of mind to write the kind of songs that my 15-year-old self wants to hear.
Right.
Because that's the kind of music I want to make. And so that's basically, in a nutshell, how it all came about with Ty.
Yeah. Okay. As a musician, especially one that's recording and you guys are putting out albums, do you ever have people, even though you're a musician who's writing and recording brand new music, do you ever have people come up to you and just say they just don't make music like they used to anymore?
Yeah.
Even though they know that what you do they still say that to you?
Well, no, I haven't had it said to me personally.
Okay.
At least not since the new albums come out. But I've had many conversations with people over the years, just when I'm out and about that very thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll agree. A lot of the legacy bands, when they put out a new record, it doesn't necessarily sound like their classic stuff.
Sure.
And I get that, you know, bands want to continue to grow and they want to continue to experiment with different sounds and everything. But I think most of the fans of this music that we still love would prefer albums that sound like that classic sound.
Right.
And so that's what I really strived for on this album was, you know, even though a lot of people ignored that Karabi album, to me, it's a classic. And over the years, it has become a cult classic.
Thank you. I was just about ready to say that's probably where it is.
And Feel Good and the Black album are two of the biggest, you know, rock and metal albums of all time. So I just kind of wanted to give people that type of experience.
Yeah.
And the feedback I've received from people that have heard the whole album confirmed that they felt that way when they heard the album. You know, even though these songs are new to me, they feel familiar. Like they're comforting in a way that it makes me feel like I'm reliving my teenage years. And so I give credit to this room, you know, this room that I come sit in here and I pick up my guitar and suddenly I've written a song that sounds like that period of time. And that I'm going to just keep doing that.
Do you have a copy of Heavy Metal Parking Lot in there anywhere?
I don't have a copy, but I need one. I mean,
I don't know how fast I can find it, but I bumped into one not too long ago. I don't know, it's up here somewhere. I just rearranged everything. But yeah, I wonder if I got it right here. But yeah, I was at a favorite shop of mine that has used vinyl, CDs, videos, and books mainly. There are tons of books. And here it is. Yeah, there it is. Right behind Ace Frehley. There you go.
I need one of those.
Okay, I'll see if I can find one.
All right.
If I find it, it's yours.
Okay.
In fact, do you have the? I was going to ask you. Do you have the Zlozauer book about with Motley Crüe?
I have several of those. Is that the one with? It's kind of a larger book, and it's just got all the. Yeah, I have that one with all the photos in it.
Awesome.
That book is incredible.
It is. It really is. I had a chance to meet up with Neil a couple of times. He did the show a while back, and he was a hoot, man. It was great. We went out to lunch, and I had gotten the Van Halen book through thrift books, and I said, I don't want, if you don't want to sign it, that's fine. But, I just thought I'd bring it with me and ask. And he said, well, how much did you get it for? And I told him how much. He goes, man, you get a deal. I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I'll sign that for you. No problem. So
Nice.
he took care of it for me. So that was really cool. But bought that's when the second Eddie book came out. And so I just bought it from him right there on the spot.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really cool. Heavy Metal Parking Lot, that's just, I never knew really anything about it. And I think I heard the soundbite on the Steel Panther album first. And then there it was. And I thought it was going to be like a long film. It's like 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
And worth every second.
I know, right.
Classic.
For whatever reason you're watching it, it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
So I think I bought it for $12, but I'll keep an eye out though. If I find it again,
okay,
then I'll do that. Do you have a copy of the Stars video with all the different people doing?
I do not have a copy of that.
Okay.
I remember when that video came out, and was it the summer of '86?
Yes.
The show on MTV. I think it come on at like 11 a.m. Metal Mania, maybe, or Metal.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's it. Yeah.
And they'd play like Europe, the Final Countdown, which at the time I did not appreciate because I was not ready for keyboards. I was not ready for keyboards in my heavy metal, and it took me by surprise.
I think Van Halen made that okay for me. I think that was, so when 1984 came out and I heard what he was doing with that, and then it was great to hear stories of David Lee Roth going, man, people don't want to hear you play the keyboards, man. People just want to hear you play guitar. You're like,
do you remember the classic Bruce Dickinson interview from they're out on the Power Slave tour? I think I want to say, I forget what country they're in, but
Poland probably.
Yeah, Poland.
Yeah,
and they're interviewing
behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah, and he's saying you can't have keyboards in heavy metal, And then 2 years later, Somewhere in Time came out, and there's all these keyboards on it. But by then, I had embraced keyboards by the fall of '86. In the summer of '86, it was also Queensryche with the Rage for Order that kind of warmed me up to keyboards too.
Good call. Good call. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I first heard Turbo Lover, I didn't get it. I was like, what happened to the guitars?
Yeah.
And of course, I love Turbo now.
I do too. I love that record. I'm just not a big and again, I have an appreciation for it now. But Point of Entry was, woo.
Oh.
That was one of the largest missteps, I thought, just in let's be a little more commercial. And I'm like, you guys, come on, what the hell?
It's not them, they're a metal band.
Yeah, they're a metal band. You can't do that. Yeah. So it's, it was just, I don't know, it was a little above and beyond in the wrong direction. But
isn't it funny how those albums came out back then? So much. I remember when Theater of Pain came out. Went from like every kid in my school loved Motley Crue, and we were all like kind of a gang.
Yep.
Now suddenly I was the only kid that still liked Motley Crue. The look didn't faze me because I was a fan of Kiss, and in '79 when Dynasty came out, pink costumes. I didn't care. I just only care how the music sounds. But when Theater of Pain came out, most of my friends wouldn't even give the music a chance because of the pink pants.
Yep.
Wouldn't have anything to do with it. I remember getting in a few fights over that, in fact.
Wow.
People were very passionate about their metal in junior high and high school.
Well,
We would fight over that stuff.
yeah. And the tough part was that when they came out with Creatures of the Night, nobody was giving it a chance.
I was all over Creatures of the Night.
I was too.
I could not believe that I couldn't get anybody at school to even listen to it.
Nope. You're like, seriously, this is one of the best records they've ever done.
Just one song, I'd tell him. Just one. Nope. I had this friend, and he's like, dude, Crocus is the best band ever. I'm not listening to Kiss. I love Crocus, but
I get it.
Listen to Creatures of the Night, not even one song.
Wow.
I was blown away. Yeah, he just refused.
Yeah, it's amazing where the trust goes. You're just like, what?
And then a couple years later, when Animalize came out and they were big again, he goes, you know what, man? You're right, dude. Kiss is pretty awesome. Well, I know.
Okay.
I tried to tell you.
Yes. I've told the story many times here on the show where I went to go see Cinderella, and one of the opening acts, the opening acts were not good. We had Life of Agony, that's what it was while I was watching them.
Oh, yeah.
And Hair of the Dog, which was so surface and fake to me. The best one was a 3-piece out of Joliet, Illinois called Sync. I'm still freaked out that I remember all of that, but
wow.
But they were kick ass. They were fantastic. But the other ones, but the one guy had the nerve to go, metal's back. I'm like, metal never left my house.
Ever.
Thank you.
One day.
Yeah.
I've been living like it's 1989 since 1989.
Right.
I refuse to accept that there's not still multi-platinum albums and sold out arena tours and
Yeah.
It's coming back, man.
There's great young bands out there. I mean, there's, Santa Cruz, you've got Confess out of France, you've got, just bands here in the States. You got Steel City, speaking of Mike.
Steel City is great.
They are great. And, and you guys, I'm digging the records, man. I'm like, I can't wait to digest this 21 Guns. I was the 21 Gun Salute, but I haven't had a chance to digest it completely yet. But that first album,
I can't wait until you get that chance, because I still love the first album, but the first album is literally a straight up Sunset Strip party anthem album.
It really is.
There's no heavy metal on there. It's just party, party, party. I love that. But when I went to go do this album, I was thinking more Creatures of the Night, the Karabi album, the Black album. I wanted to bring my Judas Priest influences in here. And so on this record, now you've got 5 metal songs, 5 glammy songs, and 2 ballads. And they're all kind of commingled together. So it's like a musical journey.
Absolutely. That's going to be great. Because I'm going to listen to it as soon as we're done. I'm going to just throw it on and do whatever I got to do. And you've got Everybody. Is Everybody High? Tell me a little bit about that one.
Is Everybody High is the intro. So Is Everybody High is actually a line from the first song, Fireball. And you're going to laugh where I got this from. I was not recently, but a few years back, I was watching that classic Priest concert that they showed on MTV from the Screaming for Vengeance tour.
Yes.
Memphis. And in the middle of Desert Plains, they're doing this drum bass thing, and Rob's talking to the crowd. And, he just suddenly says, are you high? And like, oh man, I got to use that for a song, And so it became a line in Fireball. And then while I was recording Fireball and knowing that I need an intro because it's going to open the album, for some reason, Is Everybody High just came right to me. And that's the intro.
That's out.
So 90 seconds. It starts out with a couple of bong hits. And then it asks the question, is everybody high? And it, that question can be taken, one of 2 ways. Is everybody high? Have you all smoked some marijuana? Or, man, this world is really crazy right now. Is everybody high?
Exactly.
And so, and it just kicks off the album. It's a fun little intro. And so that's the story behind that.
Yeah, I was going to see if I can. That's that's hot. That Fireball starts off hot.
Fireball is the first song I wrote for the album.
Wow.
And that song came up. That was actually when I decided I needed some heavy metal on this record, because we had opened up for Doro Pesh and Grim Reaper, and we had no heavy metal on our first album to speak of, you know. Not that it's a light record or anything.
No.
It's certainly not heavy metal.
No.
And so we started playing Free Will Burning and Jawbreaker by Priest at those shows to, you know, so we have something to offer these metalheads that are here. Yeah. And so from there, I just decided that when I write the next album, I want some stuff like that. And so I sat down for Fireball specifically wanting to write a fast, heavy album opener, screaming heavy metal, Judas Priest style. And I was lucky enough to convince Oz Fox to play a guitar solo on it.
Wow.
So he's actually doing the main guitar solo on Fireball.
Wow.
And then my other friend, Jeremy Virayo, plays that first solo that's after the first chorus.
Man.
Yeah, I got Oz Fox is actually on 2 songs on the record.
Really?
A solo on the song Social Media Disease, which is the heaviest song on the record.
Wow.
And then Jeff Duncan from Armored Saint came in and did a guitar solo on Rock and Roll Army. He did all of the guitar work on the ballad Never Let Me Go. Some of the tastiest lead guitar playing on a ballad you'll ever hear. And just a lot of other cool stuff happening on the record. Man. But those were 2 very, you know, sitting there watching Jeff Duncan in the studio lay down solos and work his magic, creating just the tastiest guitar licks out of thin air of a song he's never heard before, and doing it in just a matter of a couple hours. I just can't comprehend that type of ability, you know.
That would seem to me, the music geek that I am, that that would just be, it just harkens back to history, where you've got people like Jesse, who came in, the guitar player who came in to Jackson Brown's session for Dr. My Eyes, and just heard a bit of it, then laid down a solo, one take.
One take.
You're just like,
wow.
Boom. You know, it's just amazing how some of those folks just come in and they get a feel for it. Now, like Reb Beach talked about that in a clinic one time, where he said, I was kind of wondering how I was going to get food one night. I was looking under the rug for change and just trying to find something to get some food. My agent called and said, hey man, I got a 3 Musketeers commercial and they need a guitar player. So he was talking about not being able to read music. And he said he went into the session, they handed him the music, and he's like, oh crap. And he's like, could you do me a favor? Maybe play me a little bit of the music. And so they did. And he's like, they're like, oh yeah. And he goes like that. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, good. He's like,
wow.
I'll make it. You know, he's at that moment when he realized they liked what he was doing. He's like, I got a handle on it. I don't have to worry about reading this.
Wow,
you know,
that is cool.
So it's those folks, man. When you get the feel for it, it's great.
And meanwhile, I was over here taking 4 hours to just record one rhythm guitar track, you know, and I'm writing the song. So I also cannot read music. Everything I do is feel and ear, and I don't even have the greatest ear, but somehow I'm able to get it done.
Yeah.
Without having to know that stuff. So
ultimately that's the thing. And then you surround yourself with people that know what they're doing and what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the way it is. Then you have coming up after that, you've got Rock the Fuck Off.
Oh, back the fuck off.
Oh, sorry. That's my beauty of my eyes is
Same.
Back the
Same.
fuck.
If I was reading it, I would have probably saw the same thing.
If I could blow up this thing here, I would do it. And I mean, you know, like enlarge it, but there's just no doing that. So
So back the
Back
fuck
the fuck off. Yeah.
was an interesting one. I had gone through a really horrible time at the job I was at the time.
Been
And,
there.
I encountered some abuse that I had never really dealt with before in my life from an employer. And, it really took a heavy emotional toll on me. It kind of is what led to the period of time I told you about where I didn't touch a guitar for an entire year.
Wow.
And so when I finally was over that or somewhat over that and
Right.
started writing again, the first thing I wanted to do was write a song to address that situation.
Yeah.
And so that's what that song is all about.
Wow.
Anytime you've got a boss or a teacher or even a loved one that's just, emotionally, intentionally abusing and terrorizing you. And sometimes you're in a position where you really can't do much about it.
Right.
So that song was for all those kind of people like that do that kind of stuff to people, back the fuck off.
Right. Right.
There's a lot more tasty words
Yeah.
in that song thrown out for those kind of people. And so that's who that song is for.
Probably more like the words that I was hearing all the way back in 82 when I saw Ozzy collapse on stage and everybody was pissed because the show was going to get canceled. And we're like, and there was people saying all kinds of words.
Yeah.
21 Gun Salute then follows the title track.
That song was so the original Cyanide guitar player, Mark Mersal, we wrote the entire first album together.
Okay.
And that song was a song that we had written together for this album before he left the band. And, we're still great friends. And,
That's cool.
I wrote those lyrics as a tribute to our troops, the troops of the United States of America that have made it possible for us to even play music.
Amen. Yep.
Live our lives on a daily basis. I just wanted to say something to the people out there that have protected us in that way. Awesome. And so that 21 Gun Salute is a heartfelt tribute to our troops.
Do you guys have any chance to play for any situation like that in a military play? Hopefully not like Spinal Tap, but
But I really want to because we were playing that song live in Cyanide, before the original band broke up. And the first time we played it live, I said to the crowd, this song is dedicated to the troops of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And they went ape shit. And this was at the House of Blues, right? This wasn't even our crowd.
Wow.
This was, mostly tourists that just happened to, we were opening for Steel Panther. And so they weren't there to see us. And it certainly wasn't an audience full of our friends. Yeah. And when I said that and the crowd went ape shit, and then when I'm waving around the American flag and I'm just getting riled up. And then the song ends and the whole crowd, first of all, the crowd was singing along to the chorus by the second chorus.
You gotta love that.
I was just sitting here talking about people don't want to hear new music, but here this was happening.
Right.
Then when the song ends, USA, USA.
Wow.
And I just thought, Mark and I didn't even necessarily think it was that great of a song at that point. But the way the crowd reacted to it, I said, well, that's going to be the first single off the album when we get it done. And so that is why, because we played it 2 other times and the same thing happened. Different crowds, same response. And so, I just kind of felt like that's the song that should get out there first.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's the first single.
Wow. I'm going to do this too real quick as well. I'll tell you what, let's get to the next one. Never Let Me Go comes next.
Never Let Me Go is the wedding song of the century. You're getting married and you want a song to play for your first dance. This is the one.
There you go.
It's so funny. It started out, I had come up with the initial guitar parts and, in short order had guitars, drums, bass finished. But for whatever reason, there was literally no vocal coming to me at all. 4 months went by and I had nothing but this piece of music that I thought was so great. And when I finally got an idea and I started working with it and recording it,
Yeah.
I realized it reminded me of something, but I could not put my finger on what it was. And then one day I said to myself, oh, it's that Elton John song. What's it called? Oh, I don't remember what it's called. So I go looking through Elton John's entire catalog, looking for this song. I can't find it. And it's because Elton John does not sing the song. It's Climax Blues Band.
I Love You.
That, for whatever reason, that melody is what I was singing on Never Let Me Go. And so I realized, well, I can't use that. It belongs to Climax Blues Band.
Right.
But now that I've rediscovered this song that I loved so much when I was a little kid, I'm going to put this on the album too. So that's why there's 2 ballads on the album. Because their melody was inspiring me to write my own ballad. And so I just put, I eventually did think of something to sing on Never Let Me Go, and I'm quite happy with it. And then Jeff Duncan came in and laid those guitars on there. And a lady here in town named Lashana Smith came in and played the piano on there.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, the original producer that had left the project, he had programmed those the orchestration.
Oh, okay.
The keyboards that you hear there in the background is from the original producer, and Lashana's playing piano and Jeff on guitar, and they really just brought the song to life.
Absolutely.
Ty mixed it. When Ty mixed that song, I told him, because that was the second song I heard mixed.
Yeah.
And I said, if there's any justice in the world, Ty, you should win a Grammy for this production on this song. It sounds like I spent, $500,000 making record. I don't know how he does it, but guy's amazing.
Yeah, you're like, how did you get out all those people in that room? It's just wild.
But
it's
for the love of your life.
Wow, good. I'm glad you mentioned that and I'm glad it came around to talking about I Love You, because that song, first of all, is amazing. And secondly, when I was going through your YouTube page, I was, you see all these hard rock metal tunes, and then I Love You. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, hold on a second. So I thought that was great that you that song, you performed that song, and now you've recorded it.
Yeah.
Because I would love to play that song in my band. I think it's a great song.
We invited, that video that you're talking about is actually from our album release party that we had last June.
Yeah, and who came up on stage with you?
That was Freaky and Faith, a local duo here in Vegas. I was at one of their shows.
Yeah.
And they played it.
Wow.
She's playing piano and he's playing guitar, and they're both singing. And, I was actually outside and I heard the song start, and I was like, oh my God, this song's on my record. I got to go hear this. I got to go hear how they do it, And I was just blown away by how great they were.
Wow.
And so, I introduced myself to them, and I, just said, hey, I'm also playing that song and putting it on my album. Would you be interested in coming up and playing it with us at the album release party? And they did. And,
that's awesome.
Man, they did such a great job. I wish I had known them when I was recording the record and could have had them on the record.
Well, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Because I ended up playing the guitar solo on that song, and I am not a guitar soloist. I am a rhythm guitar only. And so when I had laid that solo down when I was making the demo, it was really just meant to be a placeholder.
Oh, okay.
But when we got the sessions after the change in producers, there was a problem with whatever solo was on there. Something was messed up and it couldn't be fixed. And while I was looking for someone else to come play a solo, Ty found my original solo track from the demo, and he just inserted it in there. He didn't know that I was the one that had played it.
Wow.
But he heard it and he liked it. And so when he sent me the mix and my solo was in it, I was like, oh, dude, that solo was not meant for human consumption.
You're like, no.
And he said, dude, there's nothing wrong with that solo. It fits the song. It's nice and simple. Maybe, like he said, He said maybe like something George Harrison would put on there.
Wow.
Actually, no, that's what Mike Varney said, because Mike Varney of Metal Blade Records fame
Yeah.
is going to do the solo on that record, and that's the tracks that got messed up. Jeff Duncan also had done some work on that song, and there was a problem with the tracks. I don't remember what, but anyway, you know, Mike Varney said it's got a George Harrison feel to it. You should, because I asked him, you know, my producer's telling me I should use this solo, you know, what do you think? And he gave his blessing. And so that's why it's on the record.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll probably never hear me play another guitar solo again in your life. So hold on to that one.
Don't let this one go.
It's not even really a solo. It's like a little melody that you could hum to yourself. And I guess maybe that's why it's effective.
Exactly. See, that's what happens. You just gotta, you know, like look at Twisted Sister, you know.
Yeah, we're not going to take it.
We're not going to take it. It's just
great example.
Yeah.
Love that solo.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And you know, it was funny too, because I was at when I played a gig with a friend of mine in 2017, maybe 18. And he's like, well, that solo in that song, we were watching one of the other bands, and he's like, that solo is not really geared for that song. It's, you know, yeah, he's playing great and he's shredding, but it's not melodic. It doesn't go with the song. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I'd never really thought about that before. And I was like, I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what do you mean? It sounds like a killer solo. He's like, yeah, but it's not melodic like the song is, you know? So I was like,
crazy?
Good point.
I remember a quote Mick Mars once had said, people say I'm not a technical enough guitar player, or that I don't, shred or play fast enough. He said, but meanwhile, there's an entire arena full of people leaving a Motley Crüe concert humming my solo, and I thought, that's actually better.
Yeah.
That is actually better.
Yep.
And so.
Yeah. And it's, and when you record it, you need something that they can remember. So when they come to the show, like you say, it's something memorable. But then there's times at the show where you can shred.
Yeah.
Save it for the show.
Yeah.
If you want to sell it, you might want to take it down a notch to make it, profitable.
Yeah.
Here's that album too, by the way. Flying the Flag.
All glory to the Climax Blues Band for writing such a great song.
Yeah, and I don't know who this. I got to find out who this artist is that put this together, because that's a great cover.
It is.
I bumped into that on vinyl not too long ago, and I bought it. I have that over there.
I'm going to have to do the same, because I've been building myself back up a small little vinyl collection, and that seems like one I should have.
Well, I'll tell you, I got another one you should have. So we'll make sure that we get information.
Oh, okay.
Back and forth, because I'd love to. I got something I can gift you. That's one of my favorite albums that you should have.
Nice.
So usually if I find it, I'll buy it, and so I can gift it to people, because people need to know about it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then we have Sweet Little Trash.
One of my favorite songs on the album. This song is dripping with sleaze.
I would assume the following tune is too, Slip and Slide.
Yes, it's two sleazy, glammy songs in a row. So Sweet Little Trash is literally a gift from the heavens. I was asleep, deep sleep, deep within a dream.
Wow.
In this dream, it's a glorious dream, because it's 1989. The radio's on. I hear the DJ say, here's the brand new single from Rat, Sweet Little Trash. And then the song starts playing, right?
Yeah.
Now, this happens to songwriters sometimes, but normally you can't remember the dang song. But I woke up from this dream, and the song was just fully playing in my head. This song that doesn't actually exist is finished in my
Crazy.
And I ran into, it was like 2:00 in the morning. I ran here into my studio. I laid down as much of it as I could so I'd remember it. Couldn't even believe I remembered what I did so that I could lay that down. and basically that whole chorus that you hear on the album is exactly what came in that dream. And I just kind of constructed the verses around it.
Yeah.
And so that song is my tribute to Rat.
It's got a nice dirty little riff too.
Yes.
That's a great.
It's probably nowhere near Rat because my guitar playing is not capable of Warren DeMar's.
Well, you know.
But you know, the vibe of the song is total Rat.
Yeah, it's got that that dirty groove feel. I love that's one of my all-time favorites, which is again, that's why I have a band called Edge of Blue, and because we like to play songs that are right there blues edged, you know. We're not a blues band. I like Dusty Hill said in the movie, we're just blues interpreters. We are not a blues band.
You know, in that sweet little trash, John Zito from Count 77 came down and laid down some really sleazy slide guitar on that song. And so that's where the slide guitar came. And then in my mind, where there's slide guitar, there should always be cowbell. And so that's where the cowbell came from. The cowbell came from John Zito's sleazy slide guitar work. And from there, I put the cowbell on there, and I think it really just finished the song off. That's definitely one I think we'll be releasing as a single, making a video.
Yeah, that would be a fun one. That'd be great, man. And that, you know, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pass that song on to my friend Sam that I just talked to yesterday on the show from the Midnight Devils.
Okay.
And because he has his job, he works at a strip club.
Oh, nice.
So that would be perfect for there.
Perfect.
So I'll pass that along. I told him about Bedroom Eyes by Yngwie Malmsteen yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you gotta do that one. That's sexy, man. And
let him know that. So we actually just did a show with those guys in April out in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
An Iron Maiden tribute band that was playing, and Midnight Devils was opening for us, and that's how I met those guys.
Oh, that's great. So
you send it to him, let him know it's the singer from Flight 666.
I will do that.
I don't know if he knows who Cyanide is, but
okay, yeah. But I'll make sure I mention that instead. Okay. Right. And that'd be awesome. And then I'll also add in that you do Cyanide. Right. Flight 666. Okay, cool. So you do that too, huh?
I scale the heights of Mount Dickinson on a regular basis. It's one of the most challenging things that I could think of to do. And I do it to push myself as a singer, because I figure if I can get through 90 minutes of singing Iron Maiden songs, I can get through just about anything.
Anything.
And I do sprinkle a few Paul Di'Anno songs in there as well.
Good. Good.
To get a little break from the high register.
Yep.
After every few songs, maybe 3 or 4 songs, there's a Di'Anno song in there.
Yeah, throw in a Remember Tomorrow. That would help.
Yes, Remember Tomorrow, Killers, Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Man.
Innocent Exile.
Did you guys ever do Women in Uniform?
Not yet, but it's on the discussion list of songs we should learn.
And then what was the other one? Well, it's Bruce, but Total Eclipse.
Oh yeah. There is another. The only reason we haven't done that song is because there's another Maiden tribute band here in town, and they play that one regularly.
I got you.
So we didn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Since we didn't think of it first, and it really is a unique kind of cover song.
Right.
We thought we'd leave that one alone for now.
Plus, it would be more fun to do Sheriff of Huddersfield.
How about Reach Out?
Oh, God, Reach Out. Hell yes. Adrian Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
We talked about that one.
Yeah, I love that song.
We're actually going to we've got a Flight 666 show coming up on September 13th. Yeah. And we're going to do Sea of Madness, which is probably, if I had to pick one Iron Maiden song, I probably might pick Sea of Madness as my favorite. I just love that song for whatever reason.
I think, I don't know if I could say it's my favorite, but Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I'm like,
That's a great song.
I mean, because for two reasons. It's a great song. It was amazing to see them play it live. Yeah. Still, I chuckle a skosh when Steve Harris is there on stage playing it, and especially on the Power Slave tour, and you could just see he's just like, can you people just shut up for a minute, because this is the part, right? when you're supposed to be adrift at sea and haunted, you know, and all the dry ice starts coming, you know, the fog is coming up, and you're just like, okay. So you could kind of just see that he's like, okay, just get into it, people. Stop acting like this is the fun part, because it's not the party part. But that, and also it brought me and my dad and I have a great relationship. That's not a problem. Nice. But it's one of those moments where you're just like, what? Because I bought the record and he would always listen to me. I'd always tell him about the new record I got. Even Racer X, when I got that, Street Legal.
Now that's quality parenting right there.
Right? And I was just like, you know, there's a song on here called Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. And my dad goes, oh, I was just going through some stuff. I did a book report on that when I was a kid in school.
Wow.
I'm like, shut your mouth. So that was really wild. So, cool. Yeah, there's so many great tunes. So after Slip and Slide, we got Get Up and Dance.
Yes. Well, going back to Slip and Slide, we had Keith Robert, who is known for being in Dee Snider's solo band.
Yeah, gotcha.
He's been in Wild Street. He's just a phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah.
He did the solo on 21 Gun Salute. And he's also on Slip and Slide and Get Up and Dance.
Gotcha.
Now, the thing about Keith Robert is he channels the energy and the vibe of like a 25-year-old Ace Frehley when he walks in the room.
Wow.
You know? And when he came into the studio to lay these solos down, I literally just kind of sat there in awe watching, you know, it literally felt like I had 25-year-old Ace Frehley in the studio, and I'm watching him just create these electrifying guitar solos that only Ace could do. And that's something that Keith Robert can do. He could do it on stage. He's actually in a Kiss tribute band called One Last Kiss. And
that's cool.
When you see him on stage, you feel like you're watching Ace, you know, young Ace at the peak of his powers. And so he did the solo on Slip and Slide, which is another sleazy cowbell ridden song. and
so you took the whole more cowbell to heart.
More cowbell, 2 songs in a row. Slip and Slide is a song that I wrote the bare bones of it when I was a teenager and never fully developed it. And I came across it when I was writing this record, and I thought, man, what if I finished that song? You know, it'd be really cool today. And so that one and Get Up and Dance are kind of related in that way, because I wrote the skeletons of those songs both like in the same weekend and never finished them. So when I resurrected him for this album, you know, that was kind of my thought was, well,
have you ever started writing, when you're writing a tune and you come up with something, but you end up using it, you know, you're like, okay, well, I may have started on these 2 at the same time, but I think this works better in this song.
There is actually some stuff within both records, actually, where there's parts that once belonged in another song that I ended up using in another song.
That's pretty cool.
And so Get Up and Dance, well, Slip and Slide is, like I said, another sleazy one. Because the song was written when I was a teenager, it's written about a girl that I was involved with at that time. So, you know, it maybe wouldn't be acceptable if I was writing about that girl from a perspective of where I'm at now.
Right.
But it's from that era of time. And and then Get Up and Dance is not a sleazy tune. It's more in the vein of Nothing But a Good Time, or you know, it's a party song.
It is.
It's about people going to a rock concert and standing on their seat and shaking their hair around and just letting it all out, and you know, experiencing the electrifying vibe of a rock concert.
And I'm getting the vibe that you kept a lot of what was on that first record. You had some of those really good call and response moments
Yes.
throughout, and I'm hearing, especially in this one so far, I'm hearing a lot of that feel as well.
This is one of the songs that could absolutely have been right at home on the first record.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is, I love that.
Yeah.
I thank you for saying that, because there's so many times I'm just like, why did you leave me behind? That's
Right.
the way I feel about Def Leppard. I mean, that's I've felt that way recording wise,
Yeah.
you know, ever since, well, Hysteria. I think I wasn't.
I knew you were going to say Hysteria.
Because I mean, Hysteria, I'm like, okay, I see what Mutt did with you, you know, and I see where you went on this one, even though it's my understanding that Mike Slamer did a lot of work on that record.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Do you know Mike?
Mm-mm.
There was years ago, there was a band called City Boy,
Mm-hmm.
and Mutt Lange did their production through the 70s into the 80s.
Okay.
And then in 1980, Steve Walsh left Kansas after, well, 80, 81. After he did the tour for Audio Visions, he left the band. And that's when they got John in there to take his place. And then, and then he went off, and he had already done his Schemer Dreamer album, but then he did this band called Streets. I wasn't aware of this at the time. Of course, social media wasn't huge. You didn't know a lot about different bands, but here my girlfriend at the time, she did this modeling job at a car wash, and there was a radio station there, and she goes, the DJ was like, he has these records left over, and I said, well, my boyfriend would like those. And so she hands me these records, and I see this album called Streets, and it's a real kind of, you know, the art. Once you see the first Streets album, it's called First. It's called, you look at it and you're like, wow, that's some just geeky 80s artwork, you know? And I flip it over. I'm like, oh my God, it's Steve Walsh. And Billy Greer's in the band, but Mike Slamer's in the band. And he's the guitarist from City Boy.
Okay.
And just smoking guitar player. And then he went on to do some stuff with Billy Greer and his Seventh Key band, and just amazing. But evidently, John was telling me that Mutt Lange, because he had this long time relationship with him, and Def Leppard was not in any condition at the time. When you've seen that movie Hysteria, right? That they did on VH1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch it to that end point where they kind of finished it out,
Mm-hmm.
they were in no shape to be. Steve was messed up big time.
Yeah.
And Phil was, you know, still, I mean, kind of new. I mean,
yeah.
And it was, so it was just a weird time, you know.
Weird time.
So, but yeah, I dig that one. But then Adrenalize didn't adrenalize me, and I was, you know, and then they just seemed like they left me behind after that. I didn't dig it.
I have heard this a lot. I'm one of those weird ones where, like, for instance, when Kiss put out The Elder,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't faze me. I was like, oh, cool, it's a new Kiss album.
Right.
You know, so when Def Leppard kind of, you know, they put out Slang, which a lot of people thought was really weird. But because I was already kind of conditioned by Kiss to, like,
to morph along with them.
Weird albums that, you know,
yeah.
So to me, it just kind of seemed like, well, that's what bands do. And then, you know, Euphoria, X, you know, even the last Diamond Star Halos album they came out with, you know, I'll go on those records and find something that I like, you know.
Yeah, and I get that.
There's a couple songs on the Diamond Store Halos album. Is that the correct title? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That song, Take What You Want, that sounds like old Def Leppard. You know, I would take a whole album of those, but I'm happy to just get a few of them here and there.
I mean, I think that's my point. I'm just like, could you just do more of that?
They really like their experimentation in their.
Yeah.
You know,
I dig that. I'm glad they can do it.
Throughout the 80s, they really wanted to get their 70s influences out there, and they just weren't allowed to.
Right. And
so now they're like, we do what we want.
Right. Now, have you heard the Down and Outs?
No.
Oh, yeah. That's like, geez, I think it's like 10 years old by now.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, Joe Elliott did the Down and Outs. And it used to be super cheap on Amazon. And if I had an extra copy, I'd send it to you. But they, in fact, I could probably ask my sister-in-law, do you ever listen to this?
Let me have it.
If not, can I have it back? I'll pay you for it.
Yeah.
Because they were selling it for like 10, no, that's a lie, $7. And I bought a few copies of it, and it was a multi-disc. It was live, and the band was basically guys from the Choir Boys, and Cher Ross now, Cher Peterson from Vixen.
Oh yeah, Vixen
was on bass and doing background vocals, and they did all the bunch of old Motley Hoople stuff. They even did, from the album that I was telling you I would send you, British Lions. They did, because there was a British Lions all the way back in 1978 when Motley Hoople finished up. Then a bunch of the guys went off and did British Lions with John Fiddler, who would end up in the Box of Frogs. So they did this brilliant first album, and they do a track off of that we actually play in my band. So it's really, really cool.
I'll have to check that out for sure.
Do yourself the favor. You'll really enjoy it. And then they have a bunch of original stuff too.
Cool.
You know, kind of like back in the Contraband days.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Cher was doing that with those guys. So yeah, anyway.
I love your knowledge of all types of music history.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I just talked to a gal the other day because they were playing I Don't Like Mondays in the bar by Boomtown Rats. And I couldn't leave until I told her this little bit of trivia. I said, here's a little trivia on that song. She goes, I really love that song. And I said, have you heard the record? She goes, no. And I said, well, here's a little trivia for you. The same guy who produced that record produced Back in Black. So there's another Mutt Lange. So,
well, you know, I love a good Mutt Lange production.
Well, then you need to check out any of the City Boy stuff, but start with The Day the Earth Caught Fire.
Okay.
And then listen to Boomtown Rats, The Fine Art of Surfacing, which has I Don't Like Mondays.
You know, I sometimes like to think I know a lot about music, but I have now encountered someone that really does know a lot about music.
Yes. But as you've witnessed, though, when I do the show and I'm like on a game show, I'm like, and Reach the Sky leaves my head, Detonator leaves my head, you know. It's just like, I don't know. It's weird like that. But yeah, anyway, We Want You. Tell me about that.
So We Want You is a intro for Rock and Roll Army. And so I'll explain what Rock and Roll Army is about in a second.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's cool.
So We Want You, I wanted to create an intro where you feel like you're sitting at home watching MTV in 1986 and a little news snippet about Cyanide comes on the MTV Music News. So it's got that little MTV intro, dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend of mine, Julie Pyle, come over, and I wrote this news piece that she could read. And so that's what that is. It's an intro for Rock and Roll Army. She's basically telling everybody that, you know, it's our new single and it's burning up the charts and we're recruiting members for our Rock and Roll Army and we want you.
That's awesome.
And then Rock and Roll Army starts. And the beautiful thing about Rock and Roll Army is that, so I have a friend named Danny Goldstein, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But I grew up with Danny and we were in bands together all through our teenage years. And we wrote songs together. And this is the first song we ever wrote together as stupid little kids in 1986. And we weren't even friends, right? We went to the same school. We weren't friends yet. We were kind of dicks to each other, probably more so on my part, you know? And then this one day he starts telling me that he plays guitar and he's got this band. And I'm like, you don't have no band. And he's like, no, man, we start working on our first original song. It's called Rock and Roll Army. And he starts singing it to me, right? And instantly my opinion of Danny Goldstein changed. I said, man, that's good. He said, well, why don't you bring your drums over and we'll start a band? Okay. And so that's how Danny and I became friends, was because of this song. And that band was only together for a few months. We never.
And how old were you at that point?
I was going to turn 15, so I was 14 at the time.
That's awesome.
And we never recorded this song. The band broke up. We over the years would always joke about this song, but as the years went on and Danny and I started getting more and more reminiscing about our days, then he decided to write a book called Music Won't Pay the Bills. And he ends up releasing this book on Amazon, right?
Wow, yeah.
And I didn't really know exactly what the book was going to be about until it came out. But it's really, the whole book is about our teenage years in Las Vegas, trying to start bands and make it in the music business. And a big part of the story is this Rock and Roll Army song. And so when the book finally came out, we started talking about that song a lot more. And so I said to him, I'm going to work this song up and record it in my studio just for us. So we'll have it,
Yeah.
So we can laugh about how stupid we were, and I just never got it done. And then one day he was gone.
Oh,
and
shit.
I was sitting there beating myself up for not getting it done. And so the day after he passed away, I came up here in this studio and I started trying to work it out.
Yeah.
And I could remember little parts of it. I couldn't remember how the dang song started, right? So I call up the two other band members from back then. Hey, do you remember how this song started? No, nobody remembers. Nobody has any recording or recollection or anything. And so I look up at the sky and I said, Danny, how did this song start? And within like 30 seconds, I was playing it. And so I could, I've got like a lanyard here hanging from my drum set of Danny when he was, for his memorial celebration of life. Oh. And so I keep him next to me at all times when I'm in here writing songs. So I get the song done in one afternoon. I get the song done, except for the guitar solo, because we've established I don't do that. And so Jason, my producer at the time, he got Jeff Duncan to put a solo on it. Yeah. I sent it off to Comp Homegrown Show here, Comp 92.3, local rock station here. And They immediately start playing it on the radio. So I got Danny's first ever song out there on the radio. And then when I started coming up with the new Cyanide album, I decided I wanted to put it on here, but I wanted to rework it and we never really did finish that song. It was the cheesiness factor was such of 14-year-old boys that we didn't know what we were doing. Right. And so, I rewrote the song, and it's got more of a, instead of just a all cheesy, like, let's just rock thing. I threw in some, military references, army references, like we're actually really building this rock and roll army. Right. And so the song came out really good, and it's all for Danny Goldstein.
Because we came up through the Kiss Army, and then if you were a Kiss fan, you knew that Ace Frehley had Rock Soldiers. Yes. So it's kind of that whole continuance. You're like, you were already in that. It's easy to get that mindset.
It is.
Yep. Other people don't get it, or they just think you're dorky or whatever, but you're like, no, man, this is how I feel about it. Yeah. It is like an army, and that's what it is.
It is. And that song's just always going to be really special to me because first song ever, Wow. And somehow it ends up on this album, and I still can't believe how good it came out,
Yeah. I hope I don't ruin anything, but I could just see a show opening like that.
Yeah. We've talked about it. Right now we're opening up with Fireball, but I thought, that song also has a good intro. And so,
exactly.
We don't have to always open with Fireball.
The dark stage, that playing over the top, and then those drums coming in, and boom. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think we're gonna do it. I think you just settled it.
There might be something. It's like a gimme, as we would say in golf, right?
Totally.
It's the gimme. And then up next, what we have is, I'm trying to get this thing went weird on me. As the World Burns.
So now we've made it to the metal portion of the album.
Oh no, wait a minute. Okay.
So the song, Fireball's a pretty heavy metal song.
Yeah.
21 Gun Salutes, there with that. It's not like a sleazy party song. And then there's like that glam portion that we've just made our way through. And so now we've made it to the metal portion of the album. So As the World Burns kicks that off. When I was really thinking about what I wanted to do with this record, I was thinking about, I was a weird kid back in '86. I listened to Poison, but I also listened to Slayer.
Yeah.
And to me, I didn't understand why everyone didn't do that. But there were certain heavy metal fans at school that didn't like me because I listened to Motley Crüe and Poison. And, metal was just kind of weird like that back then. And in some ways, maybe it still is, although less so. But I didn't care. I would go out and buy Rain and Blood, and I would go out and buy Look What the Cat Dragged In. And, and so when I was thinking about this album, I wanted to get my Slayer and my Anthrax and my Metallica influences, into the mix somehow. And so As the World Burns is really kind of me being inspired by The Thing That Should Not Be, Wherever I May Roam, some of the darker, slower, less speed metal Metallica or thrash metal.
Yeah, that dirge kind of metal.
Yes, and so that's where that came from. And then the lyrics. Once I had the title, I don't even remember how the title came to me, but I was listening to my finished piece of music that had no lyrics. This is one of those songs, right?
Yes.
I had the music finished for a while and nothing going on vocally. And then, while I was making these demos, I would lay in bed at night with my headphones on, listening to what I had done that day, thinking of what I could do to tear this song apart and make it better. Yes. And I just kept doing that over and over and over. And so one night, kind of like with Sweet Little Trash, only I wasn't asleep, As the World Burns just came to me. And so I ran in here and laid down a little vocal noodle so I'd remember it. And then I came back the next day and finished it all in like an hour. And those vocals on As the World Burns are the actual vocals from the demo.
Wow.
When I was recording it with the original producer, when we got to this song, he said, I don't think you need to sing this song again. I like your vocals from the demo. I think we should just keep these. He said, I don't think you're going to sing it better. If anything, you might mess it up.
Well, right, because this is...
Yeah. And
this
so
has all that passion in it and all that rawness to it.
Yes. And so I took his advice on that, and so we left it, and that's the vocal that's on the record.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. And then you have Social Media Disease, which you alluded to a little bit earlier.
Social Media Disease is dedicated to the lovely individuals that we've all encountered on the internet that have nothing better to do but spend their entire day trying to wreck someone else's day. And they get pleasure out of this and an adrenaline rush or whatever it is. And so I just felt like, Social Media Disease is running rampant on all social media platforms right now. It's just, and so I wanted to address that. And so that's what this song is about. It also happens to be the fastest, heaviest song on the record.
I was going to say, man, this is a blister.
If I was a better drummer, there'd probably be some thrash metal drumming on it. But, I tried that and it just didn't sound right. And so the drums, as you hear them now, are just kind of what I felt comfortable playing. Because
I think it's
honest,
great.
at the time when I was recording all of this, I didn't even know for a fact that I was going to put a band together and play this stuff live.
Right.
So my thought was, I'm not going to do anything on here that I couldn't do live. And so I, changed the drums and that's how they are. It's still very fast, almost like a Holier Than Thou kind of.
Yeah. Right. Vibe. Which I just listened to that the other day.
Great song.
Great song.
And so, I was, I think I was really just kind of going through a phase where I was listening to a lot of Master Puppets. and this song kind of just got that little influence off on it.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Ride the Lightning, that would probably be my favorite album of theirs.
Absolutely.
But Ride the Lightning just
So good.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's that thing, my drummer in my band, he's like, I don't do double kick. I don't, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, especially for this band that we do now. We don't need it, but
yeah,
but it is something to bring up where you're just like, but then there's bands like Dragon Force that I just can't listen to because I'm just like, even before I was an older man, I would be like, just stop.
Wait, we're not 20?
I'm 15 right here.
Yeah, same.
I am forever there. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay, guys, this doesn't make sense. And some of this is electronic. So you're not even doing it.
Right.
You just have a trigger that makes it go twice as fast.
Yeah. It was very important to me to not do any of that. Just in case I end up having to play drums, which does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
At least I can play.
Yeah, absolutely. Take What You Want is your last tune before you do I Love You at the end of the album.
Take What You Want. So I am a long-suffering Oakland Raiders fan. I've been a Raiders fan since 1979.
I still love you, man, but
Thank you. I'm one of the good ones, though. I'm not one of the ones that you're thinking about that maybe like, not those Raider fans. My dad was a Raiders fan. I don't really know why, because we lived in Iowa at the time, but I vaguely remember watching that Viking Super Bowl, and really I was just sitting next to Dad so I could try to steal a sip of his beer, but then in about 79 is when I actually started watching football on my own.
Okay,
And then that season the Raiders beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and so that just kind of solidified me being a Raider fan for life. And so now, of course, they're here in Vegas. They came here to be near me, right?
Yeah.
Only I can't.
That's what you're thinking. You might as well.
I can't afford those tickets now. If they were still in Oakland, I can afford those ones. Darn it. But I digress. So I was sitting up late one night having some beers, watching some old Oakland Raiders stuff, vintage Oakland Raiders stuff.
Yeah.
And this interview with Al Davis came on, and it's from the early 60s. And he's talking about how, he says, people always told me to take what the defense is giving me. And I said, I'm going to run the other way with that. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take what I want. Light bulb.
Right.
And that is literally how this song came to exist. As soon as he said he's going to go out and take what he wants, I got chills, and I said, I'm going to turn this into a song. And that's how this song was born. And the music again is more of a heavier vibe.
Yeah.
There's definitely some Slayer and some Anthrax influences in this song.
Yeah, definitely.
Vocally,
especially in the drums. I definitely get that Anthrax thing in the drums.
Mm-hmm. And vocally on As the World Burns, I had even forgot to mention, I got to let out a little bit of my inner Tom Araya.
There you go.
There's a couple vocal lines on there where after I did them, I'm like, it kind of sounds like Tom. Cool. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm so glad it came out like that.
Yeah, I'm just glad to hear some great vocals, man. That's really, that's where I am on a lot of music. It's just got to be, good. I was never a Slayer fan. I tell this story a lot. My wife went to the office. She said, there's a new guy. She came home. She goes, there's a new person at the office. They like metal. So I told them that you need to talk to them. And I'm like, whoop, 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 whoop. Easy. Just ask them if they like Megadeth. If they say yes, then ask them if they like Slayer. If they say yes, probably don't have a lot to talk about because they'll go a little further than I'm willing to go in a direction of just thrash. I like thrash. There's a lot of thrash I like, but I like groove.
Yes.
You ever heard Scatterbrain?
Yes.
Oh man, that Here Comes Trouble record is amazing.
I'll have to revisit that. That's one I haven't.
Oh God, that's Yeah, they followed it with Scam Boogery, which was still pretty good. And they had a couple more after that. But man, that Here Comes Trouble, that's it's dead on. They used to have it used to be a band called Ludacris, is what they had before that.
Nice.
But oh, what amazing musicians! Just like Anthrax, any of these guys, But great funk lines by Guy Brogna.
Okay.
And I did like a 2-hour interview with their guitar player back in the day, and then they played here at Mississippi Nights, and so I got to hang out with them, and
Fantastic.
that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Here Comes Trouble. That's a brilliant record. I love it. I love it.
I will check that out. And another thing about Take What You Want.
Yeah.
I also manage, my music doesn't really allow me to get much of my Iron Maiden influence in there because, we're tuned to D standard. So really nothing I sing is going to sound like, something Bruce might sing. But in this particular song, the bass line during the pre-chorus, it does remind me a bit of something Steve Harris might do. And the chorus vocal, even though I'm down way lower than Bruce would be, was the one thing on the record that I kind of said, I want to try and see if I can sing this like something like Bruce might do, And so I hope to get a little bit more of and also the guitar melodies in this song, maybe a little bit of Maiden influence too.
Yeah, I was like the opening is just thunderous. It's great.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, as we've been talking about all this, to go back to some of the songs we've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Jeff Duncan did the guitar solo on Rock and Roll Army.
Okay.
Jeremy Vario did the first solo on that song.
Wow.
And then As the World Burns, that shredding is all Jeremy Vario, a local guy here. He's got a huge following on YouTube. He's, a guitar guy.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing musician, amazing vocalist. Social Media Disease, the song we were talking about, is Oz Fox on lead guitar.
Yes.
And then Take What You Want is once again Jeremy Vario on lead guitar. And I just wanted to make sure I mentioned all of those guys because
I'm glad you did.
they all helped make the album what it became.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be what it is without any one of their contributions. And I really could never thank them all enough.
It's like I always say, there are no self-made men.
Right. Right.
I'm like, if anybody thinks that, they can talk to their mama.
Yeah.
And so I'm eager to. This is one song though. I may start at the end of the album when I start listening to this because I'd love to play this song. So I would love to see. I'm eager to really with the headphones on. I'm constantly wearing my headphones, and I would love to see how you guys do this and figure out because there's songs throughout music history where people re-record them, and I'm like, now I could do it that way. Once you know how many people are in your band and what you guys can cover, you're like, oh, we could do that version.
Yeah.
Like Georgia Satellite's doing Every Picture Tells a Story.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the female in the background doing the big thing at the end where you're, and so you're like, no, we could do it that way because it's still a great song.
Yeah.
So
this song so when I demoed this song, I literally changed nothing about the arrangement of the bare bones skeleton of the song. Right. I kept everything as it was. I didn't think that I should take it upon myself to think I know better than the Climax Blues Band how this song should go. So my initial demo was just acoustic guitar and drums and bass and me singing. And then when I got to the studio, Jason, the original producer, was the one that suggested the orchestration, the keyboards and stuff. And we brought Lashana back in to play piano on it. And she did it. Man, we were talking about guitar players coming in and just, wailing on a song they've never heard before. Mm-hmm. Lashana came in on both ballads, having not heard them before. And within like an hour had played piano on both songs, and not just any piano too. Like not just any piano player could have came in and did what
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah.
And she did it so quickly and so beautifully, and it added so much to the song.
Outstanding.
And then, you know, even the guitar solo, even though
Mhm.
it's a simple one that I played, I really wanted to, you know, respect and honor what the original guitar player did. I loved his melody on the guitar solo. Maybe some of the notes he did was a bit beyond what I'm capable of doing, or I would have recreated it exactly how he did it. The live video that you saw on YouTube,
Yeah.
Randy from the band that joined us up there to play it, he did that solo note for note.
Wow.
And he was just amazing.
I wonder, I should, well, here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy, let's see, I'm going to copy that, and I'll put that down below in the chat area here.
Oh, so we can get them up there on some, get them recognized for what they did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Freaky and Faith, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go check out Freaky and Faith.
Yeah. Because I would love to have them on the show. That'd be great.
Oh, I will send you their info.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I mean, I'm open to just talking to if it's something great, you're good, you know, I want to talk to people about it.
Cool.
You know, if you know, it's just because people need to know that things are happening, and that's what I can do as far as what I call I was just talking to Sam about what I say the music industry never cared about the musicians anyway, and when it all comes to it, and then there were moments where they did, like David Geffen was really into these people that he helped out early, but then once the business got big enough, then it was just, you know, it's all the same. But you know, but I'm like, we need to be the industry of music and make it happen.
That's amazing.
You know, without that.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I dig about the Midnight Devils and what they're doing. Blitz in the UK.
Yeah.
I did a voiceover piece for their new album that's coming up, and just looking forward to that because it's gonna be a real page turner for them.
Yes.
So it's gonna.
I couldn't believe how good they were live when I walked in the venue that night. You know, they had that crowd just on their feet, eating out of the palm of their hands.
Yeah.
You know, Sam is like, his frontman skills are top notch.
They are.
Yeah, he had that whole room. They were all there with him, behind him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really gets out there and just does it. And then I mean, you know, his bandmates just kill it too.
Tight band.
Yes.
You can tell they've been together for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just a great bunch of guys. A lot of fun, you know, and I got to play the same festival as them in 2018, and that's where I first saw them and met them. And like I say, my guitar player and I were just standing out there watching them, just going, damn, they really, you know, I thought I had some charisma, but geez, I you know, I had like a snack bar to his king size bar of charisma. And of course, I'm not built like he is yet either, but not that he goes out and does, you know, gets his, you know, but he's in good shape. He's you know, he gets him going. So it's really cool. I'm going to put this up here real quick, because these are the, here's your first album.
Yes.
Lethal Dose. And the new one here, 21 Gun Salute. And just great stuff, man. I appreciate you being here with me today and doing this.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's great. I know there's so many more things we could talk about, and I would love to have you on again.
Sure.
And we could talk whatever.
Yeah, I would do this anytime. This is my idea of a good time.
Far out.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
I would like to give a shout out before we wrap it up.
Please.
First of all, to Ty Sims for producing the album, as you know, I've mentioned, and I can't ever say enough things about what a great job he did, and he should definitely win a Grammy. But also would like to thank Ty for two other things. He put me in touch with John Kivel, who I ended up, signing with Kivel Records and joining the Kivel Records family. And so, I wouldn't have happened without Ty. And also would like to thank John for, the work he did getting the record out and, getting it up on the Kivel Records website. It's available now on kivelrecords.com/store.
Awesome.
And also another thing Ty did. So there were some problems with the drums and some of the guitar stuff was still messed up after the transfer of session. And things that weren't fixable that needed to just be redone. And a guy named Eric Johnson, who's a good friend of Ty's, a bandmate of Ty's, and now a lifelong friend of mine, I would say, came in and fixed some guitars, helped fix some of the drums that I would have had to do yet again for a fourth time if he hadn't have been able to fix them. And so, I just want to thank Ty for bringing those two guys, Eric Johnson and John Kivel, into my life.
Awesome.
And,
very cool.
Much love, you guys.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, and I was glad you mentioned Mike Varney too, because he's somebody that I'd love to have him on the show. I mean, he's
a great guy.
He's somebody that I've known only through all the other artists that I love. Driver Project, which I just listened to Writings on the Wall the other day, and all of the stuff, Steeler, anything I've already mentioned that I dig. Racer X.
First Wasp album.
Yeah, what's that?
The first Wasp album.
Yes. See? And then I have the I think I have the what is it called? Ominous Guitars. It's a compilation of stuff that he wore. I think that's all through him. Nice. But there were all those great shredders, Marty Friedman, all those guys that were a part of all that stuff that Mike brought together. And just, man, there's nothing like spinning a vinyl with that Tank logo on it and just getting your ass kicked. It was
getting your ass kicked.
It's just like, does it get any better than this? Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Yep. So
a true pioneer.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Truly. All those guitar magazines, the Hit Parader magazines, the Rip magazines that had ads for the artists that he was working with, and then those ads that they'd put in the CDs then.
Yeah.
For all of the other people. I'm going to have to make that a show one time.
Absolutely.
I should just start talking to those people. I would love to have Tony McAlpine on the show one time.
That would be amazing.
I mean, he's so good, and along with so many others. But yeah. So what is immediately up next for you? What's your next big step?
So, in realizing that it's difficult to get people out there to care about new original music, I devised this heinous plan of booking my Motley Crüe tribute, with Poison tribute opening for them, and then Cyanide opening for that. So Sweet. It's a three band bill: Cyanide, Poison, Motley Crüe, and so that's what's coming up next. We're going to do that for the first time on October 3rd, and so we're in the midst of rehearsals to make that happen. I've got some music videos to make. I do believe Slip and Slide is going to be the next video.
Okay.
The streaming release date of this album I've had to push back to mid-October, simply because my knowledge of what it takes to build a promotional push when you're releasing something on streaming was clearly not accurate. And so me thinking that a few weeks was enough, it turns out I'm wrong about that. So it was going to be coming out to streaming sites on September 1st. It's now going to be October 17th, I believe, is the date we're going to settle on, when it'll be out there on Spotify and Apple Music and everything.
Cool.
And so that will give us time to properly promote it, film the video so that there's another video ready when the album drops on streaming. And aside from that, the Iron Maiden tribute, we're keep that going. And really, what I'm trying to do here in Vegas, and who knows if it'll work or not, but it doesn't seem like that crazy of an idea that I could build some type of residency here, where people could come here from out of town and see Motley Crüe and Poison and Iron Maiden, and then they just incidentally happen to see Cyanide while they're doing that.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there's so many other great tribute bands here in town that we could really just build a nice little miniature Us festival for.
Oh.
And have Cyanide be the opening band for that.
Wow.
I've got all these crazy ideas going on in my head of, because I don't necessarily know that touring is in the cards for a band like us, just with the way the music business is right now.
Yeah. Okay.
The logistics, I don't know if it could work or not. If it could, I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out that we get to do that, the next best thing would be to build something here, a really big production show, almost like a miniature arena show, similar to what Hairball's out there doing, but we just do it here.
Yeah.
And,
because it's definitely, you're in the right place for that.
Yes.
They know what that means. They understand it.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing it, which I think that's really the way people need to do it. Let me ask you this, but also before, because I want to remember to get back to this, especially because of what you do specifically. Have you seen some of this later? I'm sure you have. This is not a unknown situation, but you've seen some of the latest footage of Vince Neil lately?
I have.
Yeah. And that's just that's another one of those where I'm like, I feel badly for these guys. I'm like, don't. I'm like, and I don't know.
Like Vince is like, I wouldn't even be here talking to you right now if it wasn't for Vince,
Right. Yes.
The influence that he had on me as an everything.
Yeah.
I singled out Nikki Sixx and his songwriting, but that whole band and Kiss and Iron Maiden for that matter, all those guys are so dear to me here.
Yep.
That when I see them struggling in any way, whether it's on stage or even something bad happen in their life or whatever, I know they've all been through a lot.
Absolutely.
I just really feel for them, and I do hope things get better.
Yeah, and then that's where I am. I'm not one of these guys that sits here and just bitches about it and just well, they suck, they shouldn't be. But it's more of a caring thing where I'm like,
caring thing, yeah.
This stuff is gonna last forever, and you're putting yourself through that, and it's not sounding good. And then my question turns to the crowd. Those who come up to me and they go, "Man, he sounds great." I'm like, seriously? I don't know what you heard, but that is not good, and I feel badly for them because I'm like, what is it that I guess the question is, what keeps them on the road when you're like, you clearly don't have it?
I wish I knew the answer to that question, because I know for me personally, in the days leading up to a show, I do everything humanly possible that will give me the best possible chance of delivering a top-notch show. Like,
yeah,
I don't ever want somebody to show up and leave saying, "Man, that guy sang like shit tonight,"
Right.
And so I know how I would feel if I suddenly went out there and couldn't deliver that. And it would really it would weigh heavily on me. And I, I'm an emotional person as it is to begin with. So, it probably would affect me in a way that would make it even worse, So I try to imagine what those guys are going through, and what they must be facing, that they have to keep going out there and doing it. And
therein lies my true question. Whether we can answer that or not is the question to float out there, is what the hell's going on that these guys it just seems forced, where you're just like,
sometimes I think, it's when it's the only thing you've ever known, and you've still got a lot of life ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows, if I ever got to that point, I might change my tune drastically. You know, right now I would say if I ever couldn't do it, I just wouldn't do it, you know.
I would assume, yeah, because I would assume that you're in the same place as I am.
But I don't have anything to lose either, you know.
Well, right. But there again, I think therein lies my thing about the industry of music, where you need to we need to stop worrying about trying to affect the world and be big and be everywhere and affect those that you can affect.
Yeah.
And stay happy and healthy, because you see what that does. I mean, you know, I can look at Vince Neil and go, yeah, he had all of the fame and all of the money, and now look at him.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's where I was, I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather have taken a slower road, truly gotten into the people that totally dig the band because they dig the band, not because some record company is shoving us out to the world,
right,
and making us do this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, and then I'm worn out, and then I, you know, go through these tragedies that make me not take care of myself.
right.
And now I can't carry the tune. And it just,
because singing is hard, you know.
it is hard.
For me personally, if I don't get enough sleep, if I have even one beer before a performance, it knocks me down just enough to where when I see the video, I'm like, no.
Yep.
And so I'm also, so I used to be one of those guys that was overly critical of my favorite bands just because of how much I love them and I want them to be great, you know.
Right.
And over the years, you know, now that I've tried my best to make it in the music business and I've gotten to where I've gotten to, right?
Right.
In the process of that, realize how hard it must have been for all those guys to get where they ended up, you know? And so I'm thinking, with all the bullshit those guys had to put up with just to make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even probably imagine how much bullshit they went through on their way up to the top. And so when they finally got there, you know, it's like they've earned the right to decide when they're done. And, you know, for me, the worst part of it is, aside from, you know, seeing it and feeling bad because I don't want these guys to be in any pain, but, you know, the comments you see on the internet, the third grade mentality of people just making fat jokes about Vince Neil when he's not even fat, you know?
Right.
Why are people so mean? And that goes back to the social media disease thing, you know? I just don't get it. But I hate seeing it. I hate every time I see a post about Vince Neil and I go read the comments and it's just such viciousness, you know?
Right.
It's like, man, this is a human being that's out there trying his best to make a living, doing the only thing he's ever known to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, give the guy a break. You know, there's still people that want to go see that and it makes them happy, and more power to them, you know?
Yeah. And I guess I kind of look at it like, well, you know, like Sammy's set up. He did a residency out there.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's like, this is really, and he's not afraid to go, this is really what it is. This is good. I don't need to be touring anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are of a certain age.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be doing all that. It's not healthy.
They've earned the right, right?
Yeah. And if you've got thousands, millions of people coming out there to see you do your show, then why not?
Yeah.
You know, park it for a while. He's taken care of for the rest of his life. He's got his bar where he can do music and stuff like that. And if you want to go and play a concert somewhere here or there, you can do that instead of worrying about a whole tour that's going to wipe you out. And
traveling,
you know,
traveling is exhausting at any age.
Exactly.
Constant traveling. I've never experienced it, so I'm sure I can't imagine how draining it really is.
Right.
But I know singing's really hard, and I know if you don't get enough sleep and your throat's tired, and then you sing like that a couple of nights, and then it does some damage, and then it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And I know in the 80s, those bands were at the mercy of the record labels and the scheduling, and they never got a break, I don't think, back then. You know, go.
Therein lies,
Yeah.
therein lies my point, where you're like, that's, you know, like when I was talking to Sam yesterday, we were talking about having time, taking time. If you're doing it on your own, you can take the time to write. You can take time to spend time with the family.
Yes.
You know, I've talked to a lot of musicians that are like, oh, my daughter doesn't talk to me, or my kids don't talk to me, or my, you know, whatever. And you're like, wow, I couldn't imagine that.
I mean, I wasn't even out on tour, and my stepson doesn't talk to me right now. You know,
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. The music business is, you know, it requires a lot, even if you're not a big star and you're just trying to do something. It requires a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think the people that go online hurling these insults at these musicians really realize what they've been through just to, you know, get to where they're at. And so, you know, I know that it's not like it's ever going to stop. You know, as long as there's humans, there's going to be people hurling those insults. I just hope that they don't read them or take them to heart, and, you know, any of that stuff.
You know, that's it's rough. It's rough. I got, you know, there's a million different ways to go with it all. I mean, you and I could obviously talk about it all
day long.
But, you know, it's what it comes down to, though, is we are a couple of guys, though, that do look at it from the heart, and we're just, you know, it just, I'm like, you know what, there are younger bands that need to be heard, and that, if you can't do it, then you should not worry about doing it. And then, because the longer these people hold on, just the longer the other bands don't get promoted.
You know, and isn't it a bummer that, like, remember when we were coming up and, like, you know, Kiss would take Motley Crue out on tour, or Ozzy would take Metallica out on tour, and that's how those bands got broken, you know?
Yep.
The right way. And it you know, it bums me out that doesn't still happen. You know?
Not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough. But I did give a lot of kudos to KK Downing's KK's Priest. They took Burning Witches out on tour.
Oh, nice. See, that's what we're talking about.
I love Burning Witches. They got this brand new album coming out, Incantations, getting ready to come out. And when they were here in St. Louis, they were wonderful to the crowd. I mean, these women, they worked the booth, they set up the gear, you know, they were, you know, they have a tour guy with them that does the most of it, you know, but, you know, they were there putting things up, making sure things were right for the stage when it was time to go. And I met the bass player, didn't even know it. She was working the booth for merch. Wow. And I was like, and they said, well, Laura's working the booth. I'm like, oh, I just talked to her. I didn't know. Oh, man. So, and then, you know, Ramana and Courtney were outside hanging out. I went out and talked to them. And then at the end of the gig, they're sitting on the ground, sitting on the concrete, talking to fans.
Love it.
Just hanging out, having a smoke.
That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, you guys are doing it. You know, this is what it's about.
When we did that 3-night stand at Counts Vamped, even though I knew I was going to be singing 3 nights in a row every night after we got finished. Hey, everyone, I'm going to go hang out at the merch table and have a beer with you guys. Come talk to me.
Yep.
And I did that all 3 nights, and I would always do that.
Man,
that's fun for me.
I hear you. It's great getting the feedback, and Marco Mendoza did that as well when he opened up for Graham Bonnet, and he had a couple of Graham's guys work playing with him, and then he's like, I'm gonna go out in the front after the show here, and we'll say hi real quick between, and then I won't make it too long because you guys want to be in here seeing Graham. So, you know, I went out there and talked to him. Super nice guy, super cool guy. He was on the show a while back, and just cool, just great, you know. But when bands do that, but KK took them out, and then Scorpions took Thunder Mother out. I don't know if you've ever heard them.
That's a great thing too.
Oh my God. I mean, I was like, good job, man, because that's what this is about.
It's what we need.
It is. It is.
We
You
need
these
one young band to come along and explode.
Yeah.
And sure, no one's going to sell 5 million albums anymore. You know,
Right.
we know it's all about the streaming, and you know, you're lucky to sell whatever you can sell physical copy wise.
Right.
But you know, it just takes one band to cause a movement.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know.
Yeah. And then as long as they bring somebody along with them too, you know, I was talking to Sam about that. I keep saying that. I was talking to Sam about that yesterday. We talked about a lot of things, you know, and that was one of them is bands working together.
Yeah.
And just having a camaraderie, the fuck the, you know,
Competition. Yeah.
competition, man. Just play it and you're going to land with somebody. It's when you have the attitude and you act like a twit, then nobody's going to, they're going to drop you, or you're not going to get the attention. And then you're going to be a whiny bitch and go, well, and you're like, you know, you got to remember, they have to remember this shit goes decades back, you know,
so far.
It does. And, you know, all the way back to, what was I was just watching something recently, and who was on tour with Aerosmith? And if they did really well, Steven Tyler would sometimes unplug their equipment. And they rerouted everything. Their engineer, their sound guy, rerouted everything, and he had dummy plugs in the wall, so that if he got mad, he'd start yanking dummy plugs, and they just keep playing.
70s?
Oh, it was Kansas. Wow. It was Kansas way back, right? When
70s.
Kansas was opening for Aerosmith. And he told Phil Ahart, he goes, look, guys, I've rewired everything, and we're over there. We're plugged in, hidden over there. These are all dummy plugs. So if anybody starts yanking anything, you guys just keep playing. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And
I would never even dream of doing something. I'd be out there cheering for them.
Right?
You know?
Right?
Hey, if your band gets bigger than mine, at least let us open for you guys.
There you go.
You know?
There you go. What? Just make it a great night of music.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you ever? Because somebody paid to see these guys.
Yeah.
And thank God you hired the right band to open. People want them to do 2 encores.
Yeah.
All that does is set you up better. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's happy.
So that was Kansas, huh?
Kansas. If they have it's named after one of the songs. But it's on YouTube. You can go out and watch their documentary out there.
It makes sense though, because if Steve Walsh was you know, in his prime out there singing, you know, nobody's going to want to follow that guy.
Yes.
Even the mighty Steven Tyler was intimidated by Steve Walsh. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was fuming because they were doing a second encore.
Jeez.
And you're like, oh, good God. You know, how insecure. And I get it. Artists, a lot of artists, that's one of the things that we have in common is that there's a, you know, insecurity factor.
And plus, it's no secret there was a lot of cocaine involved in them. So that always brings a bit of error to your judgment, I would think. Oh,
and
man.
I think you'll find some great solace in the way that they talk about how they didn't know about business.
Yeah.
You know, and how they didn't get wrapped up in a lot of stuff. And they were kind of like, what? And you're like, seriously? This huge band that I still dig to this day. I just bought 2 of their remasters on CD recently. And I'm like,
Aerosmith?
No, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas.
And how they just didn't know anything because they were in the middle of Kansas. They're like, we didn't know any of this business stuff.
And then they're out there headlining arenas.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I remember I purchased Leftoverture for my own father on Father's Day back when it came out.
Yeah.
And now I still have his copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Is he not with us anymore?
He's not with us anymore. He left us in 2006, but he he instilled the love of music in me. He's the one that, you know, showed me how to use the turntable when I was 4, you know, when I had no business knowing that yet. And
Right.
so I immediately started playing all his Beatles albums, and that was my introduction to music. And then about 2 years later is when the Kiss bug bit me. The kid across the street who was much older than me, and I don't even know why I was allowed to hang out with him, but he had the Love Gun poster on his wall, and I saw it, and I said, my God, what is that? It's Kiss, man. And he takes out Love Gun and drops the needle, and I Stole Your Love starts, and I was never the same.
Yeah, that was such a good record. We used to go to a church camp for a few years. My brother went there more than I did. In 1977, I stayed home with my dad, and we went and saw Star Wars. But we went there a few times, and it was on a college campus. So there was a dude that was like, I guess he like worked at the school as well. And he was hanging out there, and they had a turntable in this rec room stage area. And we'd listen to records, and he played Love Gun. In fact, church campus, first time I drank. And when I was, I don't know, 13 or whatever. But but I remember him playing Love Gun. Man, I was just done. I just loved the cover. I loved the music. It was kick ass. We listened to Head East down there, and man, it was just amazing.
I went from using my allowance to buy toys to using my allowance to buy Kiss posters and Kiss albums.
Yes.
And when I was, from the time I was 6 years old until Shout at the Devil came out, because in '83, you know, Peace of Mind, Shout at the Devil, you know, a bunch of great albums come out that year. So that's when heavy metal as a whole took over my life. But up till that point, all I ever talked about was Kiss, 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 Kiss. My walls were covered with Kiss posters. My ceiling was covered with Kiss posters. And if you tried to talk to me about anything, I would change the subject to Kiss. Did you know this about Kiss? Come see my Kiss albums.
You know what, Rob? I use this as a joke. I say, you know, if I ever get abducted, I'm just going to start going through the history of Kiss, and they will drop me off in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
I'll just start talking Kiss, you know. So there's, you know, I don't know if you guys are Kiss fans, but you know, and they'd be like, just drop his ass off.
And then in 1975, they re-released the first 3 albums as the originals.
As the originals, yes. And then, you know, that's funny that you mentioned that, because then Rush would follow suit.
Yeah.
With Chronicles.
Nice.
That's
yeah.
Kind of interesting. That is interesting. I never thought.
Well, they were touring mates, so they probably bounced ideas off each other and drank beers together and stuff.
I've gotten to know Steve Scorfina here really well. I did one of his album covers, and he was in one of the original lineups of REO Speedwagon. And then they had their band here, Pavlov's Dog. And so then he was telling me about, and at the time when I looked at his record, the Pavlov's Dog album, which I didn't get into until I was here, I flip it over and I look on the back. They were produced by the same guys who produced Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Krugman and Perlman. They did their production. I'm like, wait a minute. And he goes, oh, yeah, Blue Oyster Cult was like in the studio at the same time a lot of times when we were in there.
Nice.
And I was like, that's freaking cool. And he goes, yeah. And I remember one time we were getting ready to do sound check, and I looked over on the side of the stage, and there were these 3 skinny guys standing over there. And I'm like, who are those guys? And somebody goes, oh, that's some new band called Rush. I was like, holy shit. That's so wild, you know?
Some new band called Rush. That's
Rush.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They're only going to turn out to be mega legends.
Yeah, either it's mega forgettable or mega legends, you know?
Right?
Where are you going to land in the game?
Oh, man.
So,
what a time to be alive.
That's awesome. Well, if you got a minute, if you got just a couple more minutes, I'll talk to you backstage, but I'll let you go from here, and we'll let everybody get to their day. I hope everybody has enjoyed it. And again, I thank you very much, Rob. And when we get ready to go, you'll notice I got this right too. So Any last word before we go?
Well, I would just like to thank you for the amazing conversation
Absolutely.
and having me on here.
And thanks to Mike for getting us together.
Hey, thanks to Mike Floros
Yeah.
for introducing me to Ty and introducing us. And go Steel City.
Yes.
Go
And
Cyanide.
Go Cyanide.
Go Love and Chains.
Oh, and
Mike
Love and
Floros.
Chains.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is where we start the official campaign to get you to play at the stadium for the Raiders.
Man,
they got to have a clubhouse, right?
I've been thinking with the song Take What You Want being fully dedicated to the life of Al Davis and his unrelenting pursuit of taking what he wants.
See,
it really just kind of fits right in, doesn't it?
It does.
That should be the theme for this Raiders upcoming season. Take what you want.
And you know what? I can't believe I'm going to say this because it goes against my grain, because I'm a Packers fan, but and just not a Raiders fan. But let me design the shirt for you.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because it would be fun. You could have that, and then you could just, there you go.
That would be cool.
Yeah. We could just sell it through my store, or you could sell it, whatever you want.
I like your idea. Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, hey, man, it's always a pleasure, and doing more shows has been great. Once I've been done with my school job, and now I'm here, and we can do more of this. Like and subscribe always. That's the beauty of it. And then give me some ideas, things you might want to hear me talk about here, things you want to discuss with me here is all good. And that includes you too, Rob. If you're ever checking out the show, write me a question or something, and we'll go from there, because it'd be great. All right. Well, let's take a look at this artwork that I've got fixed, because I'm a wizard like that.
Can you dig it?
Fixed it while he was working.
Look at that.
Very nice.
All right, folks, have a good one. Remember, when you step outside your door every day, everybody, you're in everybody else's world. They're not in yours. So act accordingly. Don't listen to your frigging phone live in the store when they have background music. All right.